The Zarathian containment facility hummed with sterile efficiency, its crystalline walls pulsing with bioluminescent monitoring systems. Commander Vexthor stood before the observation window, his four eyes narrowing as he studied the newest specimen in Cell 47B. She sat cross-legged on the suspended platform, her pale skin almost translucent under the harsh examination lights. Delicate fingers traced patterns on her knees, and her small frame seemed barely capable of supporting itself. The humans called her Dr. Sarah Chen, xenobiologist captured 3 cycles ago when her research vessel strayed too close to contested space. Fragile species, Vexthor's assistant Krell chittered through his translator. Thin dermis, minimal musculature, no natural armor plating. How did they ever achieve spaceflight? Vexthor's mandibles clicked in agreement. The human had been catalogued, processed, and deemed non-threatening. Category 5, delicate lifeform. She required specific atmospheric conditions, precise temperature regulation, and had already demonstrated susceptibility to 3 different ambient toxins present in standard Zarathian environments. They'd had to modify her cell extensively just to keep her alive. Begin the integration protocol, Vexthor ordered. She'll be transferred to the labor colonies within the week. But then the incident occurred. It started when a feeding drone malfunctioned, delivering a nutrient paste contaminated with Krell's lunch, a writhing delicacy from the methane swamps of Zerthos IV. The creature was still partially alive, its defensive spines extended. Dr. Chen had stared at it for a long moment. Then, to the horror of every observer, she'd picked it up with her bare hands. "Stop her," Krell shrieked. "The toxin will—" She bit into it. The monitoring station erupted in chaos. Alarms blared as biometric sensors registered the lethal compound entering her system. Vexthor watched in fascination as the human chewed methodically, her face contorting into an expression his database labeled as disgust. Yet she continued eating. She swallowed. Then she took another bite. "Impossible," breathed Krell. "That neurotoxin would paralyze a Vraxian war beast in seconds." But Dr. Chen wasn't paralyzed. She was annoyed. "I need to speak with whoever's in charge of this facility," she said clearly, looking directly at the camera. "This food situation is unacceptable. Also, I'm developing a rash from whatever you're pumping into the air. My body is producing histamines to counteract it, but I'd prefer not to be uncomfortable." Vexthor ordered an immediate medical scan. The results made his blood run cold. The human's liver, an organ they'd catalogued as simple filtration system, was actively breaking down the neurotoxin. Her digestive tract, which they'd assumed was delicate based on her dietary requests, was dissolving the swamp creature's chitinous shell with acid that registered 1.5 on the pH scale. And those histamines she'd mentioned, her body was waging a chemical war against their atmospheric compounds, neutralizing them in real time. "Run a full comparative analysis," Vexthor demanded. "Cross-reference with every species in the galactic database." 3 hours later, Krell returned, his chromatic skin pale with shock. "Commander, you need to see this." The holographic display showed Dr. Chen's biological profile overlaid with thousands of species comparisons. Her bite force, previously unmeasured, exceeded that of a Vraxian predator. Her immune system was catalogued as hyperactive aggressive response mechanism. Her bones, initially deemed fragile, were actually a complex composite material that could flex under pressure and harden on impact, an evolutionary response to a high-gravity world where falling was lethal. But it was the bite pattern analysis that truly terrified them. When they'd examined the remains of the swamp creature, they'd documented the marks, deep, precise, with a pressure distribution that suggested a predator adapted for both tearing and crushing. They'd run it through the database automatically, expecting a match with some known carnivore. No matches found. The pattern was unique, alien. It belonged to nothing in their records of over 47 million catalogued species. Because humans, they realized with dawning horror, were persistence predators from a death world. Terra, as they called it, was a hellscape of extreme weather, predatory fauna, toxic plant life, and crushing gravity. Humans had evolved to outlast, outthink, and ultimately outlive everything that tried to kill them. They sweated to regulate temperature, an ability almost no other species possessed. They healed from wounds that would be fatal to most beings. They could consume mild poisons for recreation, And they'd sent their scientists to explore the stars unarmed and unaugmented, because to them this was normal. Vexthor pulled up Dr. Chen's file again, xenobiologist. She studied alien life. She'd probably been thrilled to taste something new, even as it tried to kill her. Reclassify the human, he said quietly. Category 1, apex threat. Sir, she's been compliant, non-aggressive. She's been patient, Vexthor corrected. Look at her psychological profile. She hasn't tried to escape because she's been studying us, learning our language, our systems, our weaknesses. In cell 47B, Dr. Sarah Chen smiled at the camera. She'd noticed the shift in their behavior, the fear in how they moved now. Good. Fear meant respect. Respect meant leverage. She'd been taking notes on napkins, documenting everything about Zerathian biology and technology. When Earth finally came looking for her, and they would come, she'd have a complete intelligence report ready. Until then, she had time. Humans were very, very good at waiting. After all, that's how they'd hunted mammoths to extinction back on Earth, by following them until they collapsed from exhaustion. Persistence predation. It was in her DNA, written in the bite pattern that matched nothing else in the universe. She was delicate only in the way a scalpel was delicate, precisely engineered and unexpectedly dangerous. Commander Vexthor watched her smile and felt his species' ancient prey instincts activate for the first time in his life. They'd made a terrible mistake. They'd captured a human and called her weak.